Hello, hello. Happy Friday, everyone. I'm just going to get settled in here. Give me just one moment. Yeah, today I'm going to, I just wanted to do some sketching. It's been a little while since I've done any sketching of animals. It's something I've been wanting to work on for myself here a little bit, so I figured I'd go ahead and stream my sketching a little bit. So we'll be working in Affinity Designer's Pixel Persona. So I'll be sharing some different things we can use and do in Pixel Persona. Right now I'm just trying to mess around with some settings. But let me know if the volume of the mic is okay. Give me just a moment. Alright, so we got the mic. I'm just trying to take care of a couple quick things. Okay. Hope everybody's Friday's off to, I guess not off to, already in the afternoon here. But I hope everybody's Friday's been good so far. I hope you've got some cool and fun plans for the weekend. I'm going to be visiting my brother and his wife, so it'll be a fun little trip, get together with the family and all. Always nice spending time with family, so. But like I said, we're in Pixel Persona and Affinity Designer. Quick rundown of some of the tools. Pretty basic. We have our move tool. These are all the different marquee tools in order to make various selections. Our lasso tool for again different selections. We got our selection brush, magic. The flood select tool. A lot of this stuff I'm not worried about when I'm just doing this sort of sketching. We can also get into the pixel tool at some other point and create some pixel art, which I think would be some fun. But for right now, I'm just using the brush tool. And then I'm using the Natural Pencil 4B. This is my own brushes category that I've set up, and I've just saved various brushes for different things that I like. So I've got them all in one place here. But if you're using, if you haven't gotten any brush packs yet or created your own, the Natural Pencil 4B will be under pencils, and this comes with Affinity Designer. So it would just be under pencils, and you can see you've got quite a few different options here. So I just use the Natural Pencil 4B. I just like the look and feel of it. So we want that to be black, and we'll start a new pixel layer here. So what I've done to get these images in here as well, so I've got them all right here, is I just came over to File, Place. And when you use File, Place, find my I have my references out, but you would be able just to select whatever Um, is this a PNG? Yeah. So you'd be able to select the image, and then you get this little arrow, and you could place it anywhere you want in or outside of the artboard here. And then you could scale it up or down. So I've just placed all these images in here, so I've got them, so I can select whichever one I want, bring it over to the drawing board area if I want, and then I can get sketching. When you're first starting to work on the sketch, you want to, you want to be able to see the whole image that you're drawing, and you want to give yourself space. I typically end up doing this. I'll just have the image open up on a second monitor, so I could just glance over at the monitor and leave all of this open and clear. But this works much better for stream. So I'm going to get started. I like to use shapes to break down what we're drawing here and our lines of action. Find the major masses of the body. So like already as I'm looking at this, I can have this shape come up here higher. Really get that slope here in the back. You can always come with the eraser tool and clean up sections if you want. It's best to kind of wait to do that and just keep the sketching process going so you don't really lose your train of thought. And another kind of like important thing with this sketching process is you really want to be looking at the image that you're drawing more than you're actually looking at what you're drawing. And that might seem counterintuitive. You're like, well, when I want to see what I'm drawing to make sure I'm drawing it right. And yeah, I mean, you want to take a quick glance at what you're actually drawing to make sure it's matching what you're seeing. But what we can end up doing is a lot of times we might have an image on our head of what something looks like. So just like when we were kids and we were drawing a tree or a house, they were all pretty generic, right? So I remember when I was a kid, I would draw a tree. Oh, that's a tree, and you can have little branches coming off of it maybe, but this was a house. You have the door and windows. So these are simplifications in our mind, and what will happen is if we're drawing a tree or a house and we're not actually looking at what we're drawing, we're just kind of drawing it from our minds, we might end up simplifying information that we shouldn't. So that's why they always kind of recommend or say that it's always really important to look at what you're drawing more than looking at the drawing itself. I got this cute little ear up here. Okay, kind of just going for a little, just kind of indicate the eye a bit. So one thing I notice here, I feel the neck's a little high, so we can always come in, we can grab our lasso tool, and we can move that down just a bit. Another cool thing though about doing this digitally is that it does allow us to be able to draw over the thing that we are looking at to draw. And then this can really help inform what we've got going on here. You see here, I could have made that, although this shape is very large here. We got his little snout. And then, if you're trying to draw an animal you've never drawn before, it's a good idea to just do this. Do a little trace over of the animal. You know, you could do a few images, you could do one, but just doing a quick little sketch over like this kind of give you the idea of what shapes are involved in creating this creature, how you would handle form on the creature as well, on the animal that you're drawing. So this is could be a very important study tool and study aid for you as you're learning how to draw new things. So say you want to learn how to draw faces, you can always have an image of a face up here, and then you could trace over the face with the various measurements and shapes to get the shapes right and such. So do not don't forget about doing draw overs. I think that's super important and it can really help progress your art, because then we can come right back to the image that we were working on, and now we could take some of this stuff into consideration. You know, about how we might want this shape here. The lines or the angles. And in this sketch phase, you want to just be kind of quick. You're just looking at the image. We're just trying to get the details in now here. If this is an image that we want to finish and finalize, we have plenty of time to do that. Right? So we just want to get all the basic main shapes in here. So I ended up doing all that drawing on the image itself, which is totally fine and whatnot, but I meant to be utilizing this pixel layer here. We'll go ahead and turn that guy off for now. We'll keep kind of moving around here a bit. I'll make sure we're on that pixel layer. Sketching should be fun. You know, we're trying to learn how to draw something. So we don't want to be too hard on ourselves either as we make mistakes, or if something doesn't come out right, especially when it's like the first time you're trying to draw a particular animal that you haven't drawn before. That's the whole point of sketching. And this is how we can learn how to do things better. So this, when we get into this type of sketching and drawing and whatnot, you know, the more mistakes you make, I mean, the better, really, because that's just you learning. So, you know, by making those mistakes, and you know, you're learning what doesn't work for an image. That way, next time when you come back to it, you know to avoid that one thing, and then you could try something else that may end up working a bit better for it. So I know that for me personally, when I was younger and I really first was like, okay, I want to be an artist, so let me learn what I need to learn to go and do it. I was always very apprehensive of trying new techniques because I didn't want to fail and mess it up. I go, oh, well, I couldn't do that, so I must not be a good artist. And that is absolutely not the case. So don't be shy about jumping in and trying something new because you're worried about it not being good. You know, that will keep you back way more than you trying something new in art and failing. So like I said, it's better to just try the thing and fail at it so that way you can get better at it quicker. But don't sit around and not try things because you're worried about failing, because then when you finally do build up the skill or enough skill set to where you feel like you're confident enough to finally do it, you know, you might not get as much out of it, and you waited all that time where you could have just pushed yourself through it, you could have learned that skill, and now you'd be, you know, now it would be a strength of yours as opposed to a weakness that's holding you back later on. Probably pull this out just a bit. Actually, you could probably just like that, just a bit. And then too, like, I'm just kind of doing some sketching here, so I'm following the image, you know, pretty much as I see it. I've changed a little bit. I've kind of added his little paw in here a little bit. But say you wanted to use this image for an actual drawing and illustration and whatnot, you know, feel free to change it up a little bit. Change things if you want. You can use maybe a paw from this image or another image and kind of combine them. So like that's totally cool to do as well. So I like using reference. I think using reference is important. I think it informs your work and can make your work better. But I also don't believe in handcuffing yourself with the reference. And I mean like having to, like, I don't, you know, don't feel like you have to draw it exactly as you see it. You're more than welcome to change things a bit, and you'll have more fun as an artist just kind of borrowing things from reference and using it as a base to understand the thing that you're drawing. But if you end up relying on reference too much, then it's just going to kind of handcuff your creativity, because then you're always going to need a particular image to be able to draw from, or, well, the hand isn't quite right in this image, so, well, now I can't use it. I need something, you know, more specific. It's just kind of bogging yourself down there. So I always recommend using reference, but you don't have to live and die by that reference. Okay, you know, you can kind of take from it what you want and what works for what you're working on and move it around and adjust it and try different things. So another thing that I like to do here too is, so say this was our sketch. And just that little tiny bit of shadow there. I'm not trying to get too detailed with them. What I might end up doing is, as we get some different sketches kind of done, if there's a sketch that I kind of like, I might draw it out a little bit more. But right now I want to just kind of go through these. But something else, another fun way to practice would be that then, once we've done our sketch, now if I'm looking at this cat, what can I do to, say I wanted to make a cartoon, right? So I wanted to vector a cute cat face or something along those lines. So now, what would I do? And what would I use? And how can I push these shapes? So we'll kind of just make his head a little bit bigger here. I'm going to get essentially the same head shape. I'll give myself the center lines of the face as well. So this is starting off very much the same. But if anything, I'm going to have his little head tilted down maybe a little bit. Not much, but he's not going to be looking straight up. I'm going to Control Z that. We can, I want to push these shapes a little bit, so we could always like make the eyes larger. Kind of like, they're not like these eyebrows up here, so you can kind of use like the markings of the cat to kind of create those little eyebrows, give them a little bit of personality. That slight smile. So this would be one of the reasons too, like to do this type of sketching, even if you're just going to be doing cartoon characters, and you're not really worried about doing anything realistic. This still informs the cartooning. Knowing what shapes make cats recognizable. And then doing this sort of practice helps, again, the most important thing for an artist, not the most important thing, it's not the only thing, but it's really important to get that line mileage in, as some say, line mileage, and that just means like how much you draw. The more you draw, the more ideas you'll have, the more problem-solving skills you'll have. So if you come into an issue later on while you're trying to draw something, you'll have various tools and techniques that you can use to get out of any sort of drawing pinches you may be in. I just like really like this shot of his face here. So if we wanted, we'd be able to come in here, we could do find our shapes. Just to see how things would be set up. Another good thing, which we're not going to get into this time around, but if people like this type of video with the sketching and drawing, and especially animals, another good thing to do is study the skeletons and skulls, so that you have an understanding of the underlying structure of what you're drawing, and then it helps inform what sits on top of it. So come in here, that. And then two things are going to be moving in the same direction. So the only way to get really good at drawing anything is to just draw it a lot. So like I was saying earlier, when I first, many years ago, I was like, oh yeah, I want to be an artist. I would always, I wouldn't want to mess a drawing up, so I would avoid drawing certain things. Which is, again, not a great idea, because had I just focused on that, I would have learned it earlier on, and then, as opposed to having to learn it later, I could have been learning a completely new technique or something completely different. So don't hold yourself back by not trying these things, not just doing them, You'll be much better off for it later on. But I suppose that's a major lesson in life just in general, right? And I suppose that's also the whole, why put off until tomorrow what you could do today kind of thing. Just because something's difficult now doesn't mean you should shy away from it, because sometimes it's better if it's more difficult now, and it will make make it easier later on. So one thing we want to get used to is we do want to part of this whole, we can take measurements, we can just use our fingers and take measurements between certain objects and such, but so you can have some sort of comparison. I do feel like this is a little long, so I do want to pull this in just a bit. But it's really all about proportions. That's what makes things look like what they are. Let's just throw a little bit of shadow real quick. And you can see the shadows kind of follow with that consigned bone structure would be. But yeah, the whole thing is proportion, you know what I mean? So, for instance, it's the fact that this circle is close to this circle that something might resemble something else. But if this one circle was a little off, well, now all of a sudden it doesn't quite look like the thing I was trying to draw. You see, so proportion, and it's proportion. So the spacing of the various shapes is what makes something look like something else. So a very popular example, especially like when it comes to caricature art, they always talk about the triangle. And the triangle is the spacing between the eyes, the mouth, and the nose, and how those things are placed. And that's how anybody is recognizable, is based on where their eyes are, where their nose is, and their mouth. So this triangle can have long skinny triangles, the eyes are up here, he's got a mouth all the way down here, and then the nose. Have a very wide triangle, so you get the eyes all the way out here, the nose here, and the mouth here. So proportion, where these things are in relation to each other, can tell us a lot. Keep bouncing around here a bit. So if we want to go ahead, we'll kind of start off the same way. So we can use that circle there. Kind of coming back to and sitting on that top shape there. And then if we wanted, we can, instead of looking at it as one shape, we could just use a little pelvis shape back there. His body's going up. So that could be a shape. And then we could zoom in even more. And then we can kind of look at that triangle, maybe the muzzle shape here, where we have his little nose, and the ears. So you can see how that would look like that. So now we can kind of do our own. The distance here between both of these. We want a little bit of space. We're going to make sure we really get that up there. The drawovers can really be helpful. It helps you get used to the shapes that you might want to use. And also, again, very importantly, the proportion. We can kind of just do that. I want to move this real quick. This little pause coming down there. I love drawing animals. I love animals in general, but drawing them is so much fun. It can be very rewarding too. Rewarding too, because usually, like like I said, like when you first start something, first time you're drawing something, it might be a little difficult. You might not really be familiar with the shapes, the proportions, get a little lost, and sketches may not come out great and whatnot. But the more you do that, the better you will get at it, and then before you know it, you'll be much more confident in your animal drawings and in trying new animals. And then sometimes if something catches your eye, by all means, go for it. So I'm just kind of looking at the way his nose is here. So you really want to pay attention to how these things kind of work and look, right? So if we're looking at the nose, kind of curls up and under to create like that nostril opening. And this kind of comes out. From the nose there. So you want to kind of pay attention to that shape. They're different from animal to animal. Some animals are similar, some are very different. And the way the little muzzle wraps around as well. So if you have any questions on certain areas that might be giving you trouble, zoom in, draw it out. It helps to kind of work that out. Stay a little organized here. Let's take a look at this. It's just kind of a round shape there. Let's it's just a little frog boy here. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with a little draw over. So there's various ways you could go kind of about it and whatnot. Here I might just kind of focus on creating this one shape. And then adding the eye on top of it, which will give it that brow there. This is all a shape too, but we could just kind of put his little mouth in there with a little chin. This would be a lighting shape. So you can see you can really learn a lot by doing the draw over. You know, we could see here this is all lit here, so this is kind of shadow. This is all shadow. He's got it's kind of like some backlighting. The lights coming from front, kind of in front, not in front of him, but up and kind of behind him. So that's why it's still hitting this arm here, but it's putting like a lot of this part of his body in shadow. And then we have this shape that sticks out, which then catches the sun again. And again, with this leg shape, this comes way out at us. So if we were looking at this frog shape, essentially going that way, but then the arm is coming out at us and then down, and so is this back leg. It's coming at us, and then his back leg recedes away from us. So I want to go ahead and demonstrate that. Let me finish this ID here in the red, and then I'm gonna we'll add some form lines to it too here in a second. Now the form lines, like I said, so this is pretty much his body. It's almost dead on to us. It's curving a little bit, perhaps that way, but then the arm is doing this, because you can see here how it connects. So the arm is coming at us, his body is kind of just straight dead on from us, and then this leg here is coming at us, while then it shifts and goes back before then coming to the front again. So back, front, moving forward again, out towards us. This would be like close to us, and then it's going back that way. So it's basically, you know, what we're doing is we're looking at and creating a shape. So this is how the whole process will go. You start with a shape. Take that shape and add form to it. So you can have a shape, so like a cylinder. But now say the cylinder is coming at you. So yeah, let me just redraw the circle quick so I can better show you. What I'm trying to do there. So we got the circle. And then now we've turned it in space. So this would be like if we were looking at the circle, so it's a flat circle, but then as soon as we turn it, and then it becomes a sphere. So here's a cylinder. We'd have the line straight at us, and then this is how they would curve around and towards us. So it's coming at us. Draw that out a little bit better so it makes sense. So now we could try our little frog boy here. And then too, you want to, by adding these smaller variations, you know, I'm looking at how the shape changes slightly. If we were just to do, you know, it's very smooth. It's not too much going on. But what we're doing is really emphasizing the little dips and bobs in the character to create a more interesting shape. And then just a little way back, we want the eye. A little nose up here. Ask for a little chin. So then after doing those draw overs, we know that this arm is going to come out towards us. And then his back leg will also come out towards us. It basically touches his front leg there. It creates this big old round shape here. As that leg kind of pulls back, curls up on itself, and then swings forward again. That's why, too, it's always good to draw different animals. Like, you know, we were just drawing cats and polar bears and stuff like that. But then just switch over to an amphibian like this and get a different body shape, different body structure is cool. Because you could see, too, how you could see the differences in how various animals are constructed, in the way they move, and how... like, so for instance here, you know, the frog hops and jumps. So we can really look at that's why his legs look the way they do, and they're spring-loaded, and how we have them come in one in this direction, then back, and so forth to really help get that compression before the jump. If you're drawing, bird, the bird would have different anatomy, very specific to a bird. So it helps to kind of go between different animals. You can see the differences in them and what makes them different, but then you can also find some similarities as well. Usually for me, when it comes to something like this, it would take drawing this frog a few times to start getting used to different details that I would maybe want to put in the frog, as far as textures or spots, say. So this gives you kind of a basic idea of how you can come about this and utilize this for study. And then you see he's got this little bend in the elbow, on the inside of that elbow where it's creasing. And then too, you want to notice that his forearm doesn't really taper like a human's would taper, or other animals. It typically gets smaller towards that hand or wrist. This one, he stays pretty the same width throughout. But that's one thing that you really do want to pay a lot of attention to, is taking a shape and then adding form to it. If you're looking to make that next step, like if you've just kind of at a point in your art and you just kind of feel like it's stagnated a bit, and you're, well, how do I get more form? How do I make it look more 3D? This is a great exercise, because the one thing that to push this exercise even further, we would essentially be creating the lines, but like almost cutting it in half. So you're drawing the curve on the front side and you're doing it on the back side as well, essentially. Always helps to draw through it. So we could get more into this as we go. This could be another video, but this is always kind of comes along with the sketching part of it, different things to keep in mind. I do have a basic worksheet on some different exercises, warm-up exercises and stuff that you could do before drawing on my Patreon page. So if you hop over there, it's a free post, and it just gives you some different examples like I just gave you here of different drawing exercises that you could do to warm up before you do your drawing for the day, and also practice for that. What I'll go ahead and do is I'm going to throw This is I'll throw my Patreon in chat. For YouTube and Twitch. And also, let me get up my Discord here. I'll throw my Discord in the chat too, so if anybody would like, they can join me on Discord as well. Share their artwork. I share art there and various things too. We can just kind of keep up with each other there. I'm working on building what I want out of my main goal with the streaming, the videos here, and everything like that is just to build an art community where we can all learn together. I've been doing this for like over 15 years, almost 20 years. So if I could share anything with you to help speed up your art journey, that's kind of the goal here. So you can learn from my mistakes. But yeah, I've got Patreon and Discord in the chat. So there you go. I do offer some free posts, worksheets, and things like that on my Patreon. But I also have paying tiers as well if you're looking to get a little bit more out of it. So this little red panda. Red pandas are super cute. Alright, so if we're going to do drawer over here, we'd have our, so we got a big old circle, like an oval for his head shape here. He's got this nice big ear. This tiny little snout. So even if you're not, I enjoy the drawing process quite a bit. But if you're doing this from strictly a design perspective, where you're not you're worried about drawing it yourself, and say you wanted just to take an image of an animal and then vector over it, so turning that image of the animal into a vector image, you could certainly do that as well. I'll probably get into making videos on that, where you're using the image itself and then just vectoring on top of the image. But these techniques here, this will help inform that, if that is the style that you tend to work in. If not, this approach here is really good for anyone who's looking to do a full drawing on their own. So something else to consider is what's called negative space. So this, so while we have, like, we started with the head shape here. So this head shape is our main shape, and we've got a little muzzle shape. The negative shape would be the shape between his head and his little paw here. So this shape is the negative space. This would be negative space here, and then this is also negative space. So the negative space in an image can tell us just as much as the actual shape of the animal, person, or object that it is. So that's why silhouettes can read so strong, and you can see a silhouette and you know whether the arm's coming at you or the arm's receding or the leg is coming forward or whatnot, because of situations like this utilizing the negative space. I need to work on making his eye just a little bit bigger there. So a little less realistic, a little more kind of cartoony. We'll do the same. Won't show up outside of the artboard, so it's got to be on the artboard for that. So we can see this shape here. Be almost a third, so 1, 2, 3. Look at the direction of the fur. This can indicate and help us with form. Got these ears. You know, and we're working on like animal ears and whatnot. They're not just these little triangles. I mean, it's a full shape here, you know. Kind of looking at it from the outside. So the inside of the ear would be on the other side. Got like this candy corn shape. And then, you know, it has fur. Could be more furry, less furry. The inside of the ear would be the same shape. But then you would just have like the ear canal. So that's basically what we'd be looking at here. So this would be that shape. So that ear over there. So that's the shape to it, you know. Wouldn't it be just hey Suna, how's it going? Just doing some animal sketching. So it wouldn't be just a triangle. You know, you start with the triangle shape, and then we want to add the forms by doing these cross contours. I'm gonna go ahead, I'll start a new layer for this guy. We'll move him right over here. So we got that shape. We want to pay attention to make sure that we got the angle of that correct. And then too, if you're working from a particular, you know, you can always kind of do that. You can air trace over what you're trying to draw and try to get the right. Make sure you're kind of getting the right angle on some of that. Thanks, Suna. Appreciate it. Sorry, I got a little distracted there. So one of the biggest things for me is the placement of the eye. We want to make sure we really got that correct. The other thing is too, don't be afraid to erase something that you've got to try something new. Um, again, don't hold yourself back. Get in there, do it, fail, mess it up. That way you can learn and then move on. Make the mistakes now. Be uncomfortable now. That way, later on, you can focus on just creating awesome stuff with all the cool skills you built up. Art is it's all a learning process, and it's a learning process for your entire life. So being an artist, you really like to learn because you're always trying to learn. No matter how much you know about something, there's always more that you can do to know more about that, whatever it is you might be drawing. So animals, people, character designs, comics, whatever the case may be. Thanks, Suna. It's a fun one to do. So we can go ahead and maybe just adjust the top back part of them a bit. Maybe just adjust that, just a hair here. It's really up to you too how far you want to take a sketch. What are you trying to get out of it? Are you looking for just basic shapes? Are you looking for proportions? Or are you trying to study a particular feature. Alright, so let's see. Let's take a look at this lion. It's got this big head shape. That's a cool, fun shape to draw there. But big cats might be my favorite thing to draw. I just think they're so cool. So these are some shapes, an idea of what we can kind of do here. You know, this is a shape here. And we got his like cheek in here, and that bit would be hollow. Ridge of his nose, eyebrows. So let's move this. Try to find a good spot for him. Guess we'll leave him over there. We'll turn this off. New layer. Big head there. There's nice ear in here. It's got kind of a round ear. It's not like super pointy. So it curls up and around. You get his little teeth in here. Not little teeth, I suppose, right? You wouldn't be saying they're little teeth if you saw them in real life. I gotta get to the zoo soon. My local zoo, as of earlier this year, I believe it was this year, maybe it was last year. It's hard to keep up, but they have lions now, which I think is super cool. So I'd like to go and see the lions soon. So I'll do a bunch of studying like this, so that way when I get to go to the zoo, I'll bring my sketchbook and I'll be able to do sketches at the zoo, which is something I really enjoy doing. Now all of his hair. And so, like I said, you can kind of adjust things a little bit, you know, from the reference to kind of make it work a little bit better for you if you have to. You know, as artists, as like an illustrator, you know, it's our job to create an interesting image that people would like to look at. So sometimes, you know, we can kind of tweak and change things in whatever reference imaging we're used to maybe make it a little more interesting or to make something a little more readable or easily understood to the audience that we're going to be sharing the work with. You know, being an artist is really about clarity. Oh, thanks, Sooner. I'm digging them too. So we'll doodle on this guy for just a little bit longer. Clean up some of this fur in here, maybe try to make some better, more properly informed decisions regarding his hair here. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of come on here quick, do a little bit of sketching. So if you wanted to continue to refine this, a couple different ways. You could always duplicate. Actually, what you could do is you just lower the opacity on this layer. You could start a new layer and then start drawing over, keeping what you want, changing and getting rid of what you don't. so you could refine it. Another thing you could do to the original layer, let's rebump this back up. If we come over to Quick Effects and come down to Color Overlay, turn that on, and then we can select a blue or even a red, depending on in any color really. You can I say blue because that's like non-repo blue. A lot of artists like to work in that, you know, with the blue pencil and whatnot, so that way when they copy it, the lines don't transfer over. It's not really something, I mean, we're not really copying artwork anymore. A lot of stuff is just digital anymore, but you can change the color of it. That way it's easier for you to know kind of where you are at with it. Kind of just work our way around him real quick here. Kind of get some of these little lines in there, kind of indicate a little bit of the underlying structure. It can be very relaxing when you get to this kind of stage and you're just kind of going through it and whatnot. It's certainly one of my favorite parts of drawing. I think that's why most of us are artists, right? And you get that space. There's just kind of you and the art. It's a nice little pause, right? But yeah, I think like this is kind of just the gist of this stream. I just wanted to hop on and share some of my sketching process with you all. Um, you know, I certainly plan on doing more videos like this. on some videos where I'm just working on some stuff. Not every live stream is going to be like a tutorial. Some will kind of just be me doing whatever I'm currently working on and explaining that process a bit. And then if anybody has any questions in chat, I can expound on certain things. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely be doing more of these videos. I've got a lot of different stuff planned, so I just matter of making the time for them and getting here and doing it. So I really appreciate anyone stopping by. If you're new here, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitch. It helps out a ton as I continue to kind of grow my audience and find people. That way we can kind of build this learning art community together, and we could push each other. So definitely follow and subscribe. You can also join me on Patreon and Discord. I have the links in chat. I will also have them in the description below. But like on Patreon, if you become a member on there, I do give a lot of stuff away for free, so you could always become a free member. But if you're interested in paying, I do have a couple different options there, and I post color templates, color palettes, templates, and working files and high resolution images of all the work that I do, or at least most of it, especially the stuff that I do on stream and make videos of. I'm also uploading worksheets and other supplemental materials for my YouTube videos and streams. So that's a great place to be if you're looking for some assets. You can always support the channel by super thanks here on YouTube or by donating directly through Buy Me a Coffee. It helps out a ton of me continuing to create these videos and live stream for you all. But more than anything, just coming and hanging out and chat means the most. I really appreciate having people come in here, talk. If you have any questions, I love helping people work through their projects and whatnot. So thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your Friday and have an absolutely amazing weekend. The weekend's on us, so definitely have an awesome weekend. And I will see you back here next week. In the meantime, have fun,